Okay, happy Tuesday to you, everybody. Lots of big news from the Idaho quadruple murder. And no, I am with you. That is done. It is over. He is now consigned to a life behind bars, that evil killer. No, it turns out you're going to be reliving it on television because Lifetime is now crafting the ripped from the headlines made-for-TV movie about Bryan Kohberger's murderous night at 1122 King Road. They've already hired the actor, too, which actually, when I saw the resemblance, I thought, it makes perfect sense. That's him. That's the guy who's going to play Bryan Kohberger's. His name is Miles Mary. And I'm so curious to talk to him one day because I wonder, you know, is this going to be the role of a lifetime, or are you forever going to be associated with, you know, Bryan Kohberger? Ugh. Bigger issue, though. How would you feel if you were the family members of those that killer murdered? This is drama and entertainment. It's no longer a documentary, and that's huge, as it turns out. I have spoken to a couple of family members, and you're going to hear from them tonight, just what exactly they feel about a Lifetime movie about their kids and losing their kids. And also one other little nugget. We just learned that Bryan Kohberger signed his plea deal just a couple days after learning that his sister, Amanda, was going to be on the prosecution witness list. Tell you all about that in just a moment. Also want to tell you about Amy Bradley. If you're like me and millions of other people, you binged the Netflix series this summer when it dropped in July, Where is Amy Bradley? If you didn't watch it, run, don't walk after the show and watch this series. Amy Bradley disappeared from a cruise ship in 1998. It's the weirdest story ever. I mean, I don't know how much safer parents can be than having their 2 adult children in the stateroom with them, and she disappeared from there. But the twists and turns that this story took afterwards in trying to track Amy for the last 30 almost years is amazing. And since the docuseries, loads of tips have been coming in. Tonight on the program, Amy's brother, Brad, is going to join me to talk about the most recent tips that have just come in, including the possibility that Amy may have had a child. I'll explain all that in just a moment. And then, did this thing cross your feed? It was the first thing I saw in the morning. And I thought, holy cow, this woman in Kansas, her parents have got to be freaking out. Did you see this? She's grabbed from behind by a guy, and it's caught on doorbell camera, and she's whisked off into the blackness screaming, and police don't know who she is. So I'm thinking her parents must be freaking out, when in reality, I don't think her parents even know, because police don't know. So they blanketed the airwaves and social media with these images. I'll play you the video of the abduction in a moment. And then I've got a big, and when I say big, I mean capital big, capital B-I-G, big update in the case. So let me start here, though. If you thought that Bryan Kohberger's guilty pleas and his life sentences marked the end of his warped and sadistic story, you're only half right. They ended his real-life story, and we can all be thankful for that. But his Lifetime story is just beginning. Lifetime, of course, is the cable TV network that famously gave its ripped-from-the-headlines treatment to the Jodi Arias case, and to the Amanda Knox case, and to the Menendez brothers case, and now they've turned their attention to the Idaho student murders and the monster who committed them. If you are really plugged in, you will know that the role of the murderer, Bryan Kohberger, will be played by the actor Miles Mary, who also appeared in the Lifetime epic Girl in the Shed, the kidnapping of Abby Hernandez. And whether you can or cannot imagine what it must be like for the families of these 4 students to imagine the worst part of their lives will now be a Lifetime movie, it is no doubt surreal when the directors start calling action. So earlier today, I had a conversation about all of this with Steve and Olivia Goncalves, the father and sister of Kaylee Goncalves, who was one of the 4 students murdered in that house at 1122 King Road. And I'm going to share that conversation with you in just a moment. But I also want to call your attention to an interesting little piece of information. that just emerged in one of the court documents, a real court document, part of the slow motion release of all those orders and evidence that have been kept under seal for almost 3 years, the gag order. It seems that Bryan Kohberger agreed to his plea deal, something that wiped out a public trial, wiped it off the map, less than 1 week after learning that his sister Amanda had been added to the prosecution's witness list. Are those two things unrelated? Or was the thought of his big sister on the witness stand in his murder trial more than even a cold-blooded killer could stomach? I asked Steve and Olivia about that and more. Have a listen to our conversation.
Steve, Olivia, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Let me start with you, Steve. It seems we get a drib and a drab of information every week or two. I'm just wondering how you're processing all of it.
You think it's over and then something comes out, you hear about, your phone starts blowing up and all this new information comes out and you just kind of start searching just like everyone else. And it's shocking every time because you think that it's over, but it just keeps on hitting you.
And Olivia, no one knows the shoes you're walking in, right? No one can ever understand what you guys are going through. Everybody processes differently too. Do you find yourself immediately wanting to know what the latest, ungagged information is? Or and you've got 4 children, you're a busy, busy woman.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get the information as fast as I can. The day that the gag order was lifted, we asked if we could have everything that we could have up front so that we could go through it on our own time, so that we could have time to process that. We're on pins and needles just like everyone else, waiting for that next, drop of information.
What was the reason for them not giving you everything? Did they say they needed to redact it all first? Was there a logical reason?
I think it's mainly the redactions, as well as the prosecutor's office isn't the custodian of many of these documents, right? They're actually owned by Moscow Police Department or the Idaho Police Department. And so the documents that they own, it's my understanding that they're actually held up with the court process, which is going through that very, very lengthy sealing, unsealing, redaction process. That's my understanding.
So as things, begin to drop out, this latest piece of information has sort of come out of nowhere, and it's that a Lifetime movie has been announced. They've hired an actor, and I think the working title is just The Idaho Murders, but it's one of the ripped from the headlines series. Steve, tell me your thoughts. I almost feel like it was inevitable that this was going to happen, but again, nobody walks in your shoes.
It's different, a little bit different because we're used to documentaries, but yeah, this is like a movie. And it's shocking to know that somebody feels the confident that they can just tell your story about your child. And, Maddie, her best friend, the same people that, you interacted with every day, picking them up from school, taking them to parties and taking them to birthday parties and things. And to have somebody else just tell this story, it doesn't seem real. It seems like somebody's just reaching into your house and stealing your life and putting it on the screen.
As new information comes out about the actual case, there's this information about the dramatic version of the case. Lifetime plans to, drop the movie in their ripped from the headlines series. They've even hired the lead actor. No one walks in your shoes again, and I'm just wondering what it's like for you to hear that news.
Yeah, it's really angering, honestly, from my side. My sisters they're not a headline, they're not a Lifetime movie. And I get incredibly frustrated at the scripted aspect of it, right? We've experienced this in real time, and it's very, very much far from something that is specifically made for an entertainment purpose. I think that's the part that's the hardest for me to get over.
Did they reach out to your family and ask for you to be consultants or part of the process?
Oh, absolutely not. No, we have not been. When you saw the article is when we saw the article. So we didn't have any inside information on that.
I guess the flip side of that is, would you have wanted to be, just to ensure as much accuracy in your sister's story as possible?
I personally don't want to be a part of anything that's strictly for an entertainment purpose. So while I would have appreciated them reaching out for what that stands for, I wouldn't have taken part in something that is a scripted, fictional, dramatic reenactment of our and my sister's real life.
Any chance you would consider legal action? Some people actually sue for life rights if they're not paid for life rights.
I think you want to take that, Olivia?
Yeah, I really don't know. Honestly, like we're not, very sue happy people, and the benefit of that, I don't really know, because it's almost like whack-a-mole. Like you get one down and it, four others pop up, and it's almost like, where's that line drawn? At this point, we've had how many documentaries, we've had how many books, we've had how many articles. So, while we don't agree with it, I don't know if it's something that we would ever, take legal action over.
Yeah. The other side of the coin is the true story details. You don't even know them all yet, and they keep dropping, like that video that I don't know why I found it so jaw-dropping when I saw the video of the killer hours after his crime, wandering about his day into Costco, out of Costco, into Albertsons, and I was immediately brought to you, and I wondered how you digested that. Steve, what was it like when you saw that?
Creepy to see that guy, the way he walks and moves. It's just unnatural to my eyes. I could see why a lot of girls could pick up on that vibe very quickly. Yeah, it's disturbing to know that that was just afterwards, and you want to analyze every action that he did before and after, and yeah, it's hard. It's hard to watch that.
Olivia, I think so many people on the outside of your story are so perplexed by it. And that doesn't even come close to what I imagine your family is feeling, that how confused you are by how someone could do this. And maybe that's why we're so voracious for every ounce of new detail that might lend us something. And I just wonder, are we getting any further with every little bit that's dropped, even the video, even being able to see him in action? Are we getting closer to understanding this monster?
I don't think that we're ever going to get closer to why, because I think that the why only makes sense in a psychopathic mind. So I don't want to understand his why personally, because that would make me more like him. But as far as, that human need to, want to satisfy something in yourself that provides comfort, I get it. And personally, I think it's because of the gag order and how restrictive it was and how long lasting it was, that essentially they starved everyone out for information. So now every little piece that comes out is, nitpicked and analyzed and overanalyzed over and over and over, attempting to satisfy that starvation that we've all had for so long.
And yet it's not satisfying, at least not to me.
No, you can sit there and look at that Costco video, and I did, and the takeaway is what? Is it more answers? Is it more questions? Is it applicable? Is it not? Yeah, it's absolutely creepy.
I mean, I think I took away, yes, he's heartless. He has no compunction. He's just done this horrifying thing, and life is, let's get a coffee. But I think, I feel like I already knew that. I just maybe need it reinforced because it can't possibly be true. Like, I guess, Steve, that I keep coming back to my original resolution to this can't possibly be true. Please tell me there's something else. And I don't know that I'm getting there either.
Yeah, when you see that person walking around and the actions that they've done, you want to tell yourself that you'd be able to identify them, that they wouldn't be able to blend in. They wouldn't look like just a normal guy in the grocery store sitting next to you. So when you see it, it just creeps you out and gives you this, okay, this person isn't behaving in a manner that I would expect anyone who'd just done that. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why we all look at that and say, this just doesn't make sense.
We want to know we can identify the evil that walks among us. And when you look at that, you're absolutely right. I felt for the Costco greeter who brushed up against horror and didn't know it. I felt for the cashier who had no idea who was in front of them. I felt for the people who were just passing right by with bags full of groceries, that they had no idea how close they came to this monster among our flock, you know. Let me ask you about this new report that came out, and Olivia, maybe you can speak to this, that the deal was struck, the plea deal was agreed to by the killer just days after he learned that his sister was going to be on the prosecution's witness list. Did that surprise you? Did it give you insight to anything at all?
No, I don't really believe that causation is correlation there. I think that the plea deal was a long time coming. I think that probably what had more of an impact on the deal being taken was the fact that the alternate perpetrator argument was struck down. They wouldn't be able to take that into the courtroom. So that door closed. They didn't have any more to open up. Time was winding down. I think it had very, very little to do with his sister being on that prosecutor's list.
Hey, what do you think the prosecutors thought they were going to get from her?
There's been a long backstory of things that have been suggested that she, I think that there was people believe that she had seen him with a knife personally. I think that would have been something that would have came up in talking about the murder weapon predating even moving out here would be very damning to their case. And I don't think they were able to ever give a replacement for what was missing. So the time was running out, and even having his family and all those people, that probably didn't help to remind him that he was cooked, and the evidence was there, and he wasn't going to get out to be able to go recover any of those things. His time totally ran out to try to swap one for another.
Steve, I know there are so many people in law enforcement and who are involved, in this case, even in an ancillary way, who have so much love and respect for your family and care and concern for you all, and you in particular. Has anyone reached out to you to tell you any information about how he's faring now, months after now that he's been locked away? Have you learned anything that, it's hard to say could feel good, but at least might feel like some kind of justice?
Yeah, I have heard that he isn't doing so well in that prison system that he's in the block that he's at. He's very adamant that he has rights in there that need to be respected. And I think he's starting to learn that, you picked the Northwest, you picked Idaho, you picked a place where we don't spend a lot of money on people that we throw the key away on. So, you pick their state, now you got to live it. You don't do the crime if you can't do the time. And he's going to be doing the time. And I've been hearing a lot about how the amount of noise that he's making in there isn't doing him any favors.
And my thanks to Steve and Olivia Goncalves. And my apologies for the audio quality on that. I don't get it either. Still to come, what a TV meteorologist in Denver has in common with Taylor Swift and with Justin Bieber and Gwyneth Paltrow and hundreds of other celebrities and untold thousands of non-celebrities, maybe even you. All of them have had or currently have stalkers, bad ones, who torment them endlessly and defy court orders at will with little or no repercussions. My next guest has lived at her stalker's mercy for more than 3 years, and he is still as free as she is. Actually, he's a lot freer. She joins me live next. It's rare that I get to talk about Taylor Swift on this show because this is a true crime program, right? But our paths have crossed in the past, in that for years, Taylor has been battling an aspect of true crime that is bedeviling. An aggressive and relentless and downright dangerous stalker. She won a 5-year restraining order against a man who repeatedly came to her house, tried to hijack her mail, and claimed that she was the mother of his child. The multi-platinum singer has said that she lives in, quote, fear of imminent harm from this man. But since this perpetrator didn't show up for court, things became even more ominous for Taylor Swift because nobody knows where this guy even is on any given day. And he himself may not even know that he's actually been, quote unquote, restrained. And so Taylor, her fear continues. As does the question, if a billionaire singer with that much money and influence and lawyers cannot solve a stalker problem, what chance does any of the rest of us have, right? Anyone like Kaylee Burse. Kaylee is a meteorologist for our affiliate station, KDVR, Fox 31 in Denver. And for the last 3 years, she has been stalked by a viewer who will not stop. He started by sending her messages on social media. Then he showed up to events that he knew she was attending because she's a public person. In time, he got a hold of her personal cell phone number and used it. He harassed her. He harassed her family and her friends. And the 69-year-old, yes, I said 69-year-old man, claimed to be Kylie's husband. Starting to sound like Taylor Swift, right? In 2023, Kaylee got a temporary restraining order against this man. No matter, he broke it. Not just once, not twice, not even 3 times. He broke it more than 50 times in 2 months. He broke it in 2 months, 50 different times. In January of 2024, she got a permanent restraining order. And for 18 months, things went quiet. Until last month, September 11th. The stalker followed Kaylee home. She's coming home from work. He's right behind her, and I'm going to let her pick up the story from there.
He used his truck to follow me into the alley, trapping me in my garage. I was able to get into my house. He then went around to the front door and started ringing the doorbell. When I was able to call 911, grab my dog, and get out of there. What's wild is this man has been stalking me for over 3 years now, and he was let out of jail on a misdemeanor, not felony stalking like it was originally supposed to be. You can look up the law for yourself. I'm going to go over some of the basics when it pertains to my case. Repeatedly follows, approaches, or contacts. So when the detective called me and said that this doesn't count as felony stalking, he told me to go look at the law. I looked at it with lawyers and whatnot. So you saw repeatedly follows. He said because there was a break in time from the original stalking to when he followed me home, it does not count as repeated.
The man's alleged misdemeanor is, quote, violating a protection order. He was arrested, but, yep, free, $1,500 bond. No restrictions on his comings and goings, unlike his victim, who no longer feels safe in her own home, and so she has packed up and moved out. Kaylee Burse joins me now live. Kaylee, I am so incredibly sorry that you are having to deal with this. I don't think many people really understand how incredibly onerous it is to live with something like this for just a couple of weeks, let alone 3 years. Tell me a little bit more about what happened that night that he showed up at your house and you're trying to back into your garage.
Yeah, Ashley, thank you so much, and I really appreciate you having me on tonight. That day, it's hard to describe because the moment that I saw him, when I realized that it was him blocking me in my garage, the feeling in my gut, my stomach just dropped. And I remember thinking, okay, if he has a weapon, you need to get down as fast as you can. I got that garage closed. I was able to get inside. He got around, starts ringing the doorbell, and I was able to get out, calling 911, dog in hand, met a police officer in the park. They sent another officer to the house. He had continued sitting outside the house and was there for about 20 minutes before they got there. And then he was eventually arrested for what they told me was felony stalking at the time.
And yet, he's arrested for felony stalking. He doesn't get charged with it. Why? Like, what happened? Yeah. Where's the disconnect?
You know, the detective really did fight for me. He called and said that the DA is not going through with the felony charges. He's bringing it down to a misdemeanor. And when I asked why, he brought up that gap. So that gap that was a year and a half from January of 2024, when the protection order seemed to be working, until a month ago. And he said, 18 months is too long. It doesn't count as repeated. So I get lawyers with me, and I'm looking at the law, and there's nothing in there about a timeline. So I say, I want to speak to the DA. I want to advocate for myself. I want to let him know how I'm feeling about this and just talk to him. Maybe he doesn't understand that this had happened for years prior to that. And he just kept saying, it's been too long of a gap. And so finally I say, okay, so how long do I have to wait for this man to stalk me again so that it goes down from felony to a misdemeanor? He can't answer me. I'm pressing him for a timeline. Finally, he goes, it's a judgment call. And I said, well, your judgment call is putting my life in danger.
Well, we called. We reached out to the Denver DA's office to press them on this, saying, if this is a judgment call, come on. What are you going to, are you waiting for her to die? Like, what are you waiting for? We are waiting to hear back from the DA's office. And in fairness, we're a live program. We produce every day. So I like to give them the opportunity to get their messages and respond to them. But so tell me, do the police haul him in and read him the riot act and hold him in an interrogation room and say, you can't do this. Like, you're going to be arrested next time. Do they do all of those things, or do they even share with you what they do?
I don't know exactly what went on when they arrested him. I was kept, understandably, a pretty far distance away from him because part of what they want is to have that connection to you. I don't know exactly what happens. All I know is that I have followed everything that I can do when it comes to the law. I put the temporary restraining order in place. I called 911 when I was supposed to do that. I did everything right, assuming that the system was in place and the law's there to protect me and to put this man in jail for a period of time. And so it was really disappointing and disheartening when it just doesn't work. And I'm left feeling unsafe. He is wearing an ankle monitor, so he is not allowed to come within, a certain distance of where I am and, of course, my work and whatnot. But even then, you get a heads up of a couple of minutes. The police can't get there in time. If this person wanted to be violent, they could do so within that period of time.
Once he gets into the circumference where his ankle monitor disallows him, he's so close to you that police can't get there as fast as he can get to you, which just makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how you can violate a protective order 50 times and that's not considered felony stalking. Law be damned. Maybe it's time to change that law, given how much this happens to so many people. I got 10 seconds left, but I got to ask, do you have any other legal recourse?
No, I'm just hoping that, this doesn't happen to other women going forward. This is why I wanted to share my story. I want them to be harder on stalking so that it doesn't happen to other people.
Amen, girl. Again, I can't tell you how sorry I am. It's just such an unfortunate thing. And just because you have a public job doesn't mean that you should live in terror and fear. Stay safe and keep us posted, Kylie.
Thank you.
Wow. Kylie Burse joining us tonight. That is just unconscionable. And again, we're waiting to hear back from the Denver District Attorney's Office. Still ahead tonight, though, another clue has surfaced in the decades-long mystery of a missing woman named Amy Bradley. Her disappearance from a cruise ship 27 years ago sparked a blockbuster docuseries on Netflix last summer. But much has happened since the story left off, like curious new leads that may help answer the question, where is Amy Bradley? Her brother joins me live next. The last time Amy Bradley's family or friends laid eyes on her or knew where she was or even knew for sure that she was alive, Bill Clinton was president and Y2K was fast approaching. Amy was 23 and on a Royal Caribbean cruise with her family. Her parents said she just vanished right before the ship docked at the island of Curacao. That was March 24th in 1998. The night before, she'd been partying with her brother, Brad, in the ship's disco and was last seen sleeping on the balcony of the family's own stateroom at 5:30 in the morning. They were sleeping inside the room. And by 6 a.m., she was gone. One theory is that she fell off the balcony and drowned, but Amy was a star athlete in college and a trained lifeguard, and there was lots of forensics that didn't suggest that. Another theory is that she was kidnapped on board that ship and then taken off that ship secretly at Curacao and trafficked for sex. Neither theory has ever been proven out, but it hasn't been ruled out either. Her family has never lost hope and never stopped chasing leads. And the Netflix docuseries that dropped last summer has certainly ramped up those leads. The series is called Amy Bradley is Missing. The family helped to produce it, and according to The Hollywood Reporter, it's generated hundreds of new leads. At least 3 of them are considered, quote, very significant. There's the woman bartender who was allegedly heard saying, "Senorita kidnapped," before being hustled away by a co-worker and told to shut up. There's also what's being called a, quote, highly suspicious hit on a website about Amy's disappearance. The hit was traced to a boat off of Barbados, which is another Caribbean island where years earlier the FBI checked out a possible Amy sighting. It was dismissed at the time as a dead end, one in a series of dead ends. But was it? Was it really a dead end? The third significant lead is said to be new information, not made public and not confirmed, that Amy Bradley may have given birth. If nothing else, that would prove that she didn't drown and she wasn't murdered the day she went missing. I'm joined now by Brad Bradley, Amy's brother, who was with her on that cruise and is more determined than ever to see Amy again. Welcome back to the show, Brad. Wanted to ask you about these 3 particular leads that I just outlined. Has any of them panned out?
Well, good evening. Thanks for having me, first of all. Well, I wish I could substantiate all of the claims in that article. I've spoken with Mr. Maglio, the reporter who dropped that article the other day, and myself and my family are, all of us are unaware of who the source is for that information that was provided him. The bar worker, or the young girl who Elizabeth Lewis testified in the grand jury, said Senorita kidnapped that morning in the Viking Lounge, to my knowledge, to my family's knowledge, to our investigators' knowledge, has not come forward. We don't know who she is. We don't know where she is. So that claim, I don't know where that came from. The reporter is not sharing his source with me, which, you know, I can respect, but I can't tell you that we're aware of that particular fact. So that would have been huge news. And when I first read the article, you know, I'm like, you know, oh my God, who knows this? And who is she talking to? So, and we've talked to the whole team, our attorneys, our investigators, the producers to the show. I know, I don't know who the guy's source was for that.
And there's a weird discrepancy as well, Brad. If I'm not mistaken, the report about the barkeep is at night. The woman yelling "Senorita kidnapped" is at night, and your dad actually saw Amy, you know, out the stateroom, out there on the balcony, I think at 5:30 in the morning. So that wouldn't even make sense. She's certainly not kidnapped at 5:30 in the morning.
Well, so the 3 eyewitnesses put Amy in the Viking Lounge with Alistair Douglas sometime between 5:30 and 6 a.m. Lori and Crystal were the 2 gals out on one of the upper decks who saw Amy in yellow go up the glass elevator to the Viking Lounge just before 6 a.m. And Elizabeth Lewis, who we still cannot locate, is the gal who testified in the grand jury, 25 years ago, that was sitting inside the Viking Lounge early that morning, preparing for her excursion the next day. The Senorita kidnap story comes in the day after or 2 days after Amy's disappearance, when Elizabeth Lewis testifies she goes back into the Viking Lounge one morning, from what I understand, and she's sitting there just like she had been hanging out in that club, many days during that cruise. And this young girl, who she claimed to be about 18 or 19 years old, comes out from behind the bar saying, "Senorita kidnapped." I don't think that was at night. I could be mistaken on sure that was on another morning.
So let me ask you this. There is this hit on Amy's missing persons website that came from a boat off of the island of Barbados. And then there's also this tip that Amy possibly has a child. Can you explain any of these and why this is so significant and why they're significant leads?
Well, I mean, if the Amy mothering a child or children is true, which my opinion is that it is purely speculative. I'm not aware of any evidence that supports the claim. I mean, we've had a couple of people claiming to be, children of Amy's that have been ruled out. by various methods. But I don't know what information the source provided the reporter. I'm unaware of any facts that would prove that Amy mothered children. Obviously, that would be, pretty big news for us if it were proven that she had a child, because obviously that proves she, that didn't go overboard like some people still like to think. But yeah, I don't know that information either. The IP information is the one piece that I can partially corroborate. It's one piece of information that I wish had not been made public. To be quite honest, I'd rather not, people know what information we have to a certain degree. So that piece of information is correct, and I'll have to leave that there for now. But we do have some information from the website and the IP addresses, and we're working through those. And we got some upgrades to the website with better capabilities that are coming, and we're working on those as hard as we can.
Brad, come back and keep us posted. We're all very invested on your family's awful odyssey, and I certainly hope there's light at the end of this tunnel.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to come back anytime.
Brad Bradley joining us live tonight, and still to come, an update on a murder case unlike any I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot. The alleged murder is the least of it. Suspect got pregnant in jail through an air vent by a fellow inmate she never even met. And now there's video of the act that got her locked up. I said locked up, not knocked up. Don't go anywhere. If you remember any of the murder suspects that we've reported on in the past 6 months, I'll bet you remember Daisy Link. But probably not for her murder case in a Florida courtroom right now. If you didn't catch her story the first time, here's the quick Reader's Digest version. Daisy was locked up in the Miami-Dade County Jail after fatally shooting her husband in 2022. And at some point, she made friends with that guy, fellow inmate, 2 floors above. They chatted through the air ducts. They never met face to face. And yet, in 2023, the male inmate got Daisy Link pregnant. Here's how, and buckle up. For days and weeks on end, he put his semen in saran wrap and passed it through the air vent 2 floors down to Daisy. Daisy finished the job by using a yeast infection applicator. Apparently, Daisy believed incorrectly that motherhood would be a get-out-of-jail-free card. Instead, her now 16-month-old daughter is being raised by the male inmate's mom. And Daisy Link is finally standing trial for the killing that she claims was self-defense. Today, prosecutors introduced some head-turning body cam video from the moments just after Daisy shot Pedro Jimenez in the leg. Remember, her story now is that she shot him in self-defense, and that he was violent, and that she feared for her life. But the body cam shows her acting like she had no idea what had happened. Here's the video from Court TV.
Pedro, what the happened? Pedro. Where's the ambulance?
They're coming, Mama. They're coming.
Hey, no, hey, look at me, please.
439 ET.
Pedro, please. No, Pedro, hey, look at me, please. Pedro, I need you to get up. Pedro, please.
Just on shallow breathing at 330. I'll get her.
Daisy Link's attorney was on the show last week, and I asked him whether that video would present a problem for her defense, and here's what he said. I know that she was seen on body cam crying after the shooting. She pretended not to know what happened at first, but the prosecution say that was a lie. Is that going to be the hardest uphill climb for you?
Certainly her behavior afterwards and not being candid and fully forthcoming with the police is going to hurt. But luckily, we have a lot of evidence showing not only that the victim in this case was in a very belligerent and dangerous state, but he had viciously attacked her just 5 days before, split her head wide open, pistol whipped her, blood everywhere, and she was trying to leave. She ended things with her. He was not welcome there. She asked him to leave repeatedly. And before the shooting, you can even see on video, he's screaming, basically telling her, I'm not going to leave. You're going to have to kill me. So I think there is an extremely compelling case of self-defense here. And that's what, and I hope and expect that the jury will see that and they'll acquit her.
Daisy Link faces life in prison if convicted. Got to take a quick break, but an apparent kidnapping caught on Kansas doorbell cam, a real-time true crime spectacle and so little known for certain, like who was the woman? Until tonight, a 3-day-old mystery has now finally been solved when we come back. Doorbell cams are everywhere now, but when one of them catches something like this, police and the internet take notice. Police say the homeowner called them, but didn't know who that woman was or why she was even at their house, so they made the video public, hoping that somebody would see it and help solve the mystery for them. And that is exactly what happened. This thing went viral. And just a short time ago, Wichita police say the woman herself called in and told them her name and said, among other things, that she also lives in that neighborhood. They're now pursuing the case as an act of domestic violence at the hands of the woman's boyfriend, and that charges may lie ahead. That is all for us tonight, everybody. Thanks for being here. Stay tuned. Cuomo's next.